Yes.
When the act of carving,
Yeah.
you talk about using a laser, so a mechanical means is not, again, we'll go back to that, that's not, using a mechanical means is not going to make the intent any different.
I don't think that it necessarily does. There is still, with the laser, the question is, if we use the laser, is there a difference between intent and does it change the process? And there is still an act of creation that goes along with that. Because, at least in our case, there are people who have their laser engraving processes different than what Drew does, but in our case, we are creating the artwork that goes into it. And the idea that digital artwork is somehow different or not the same as making a painting or doing something like that is an interesting topic that I leave to the artists. But for the most part, I tend to see these two processes. The process of creating digital artwork that I uploaded to laser and sitting down and drawing to be actually very similar. And most of the stuff that I draw physically, I end up putting on the into electronic format anyway, and then mucking about with more to make it look like I want it to look. There is less that goes into a laser set, which is why we charge less for them. In fact, the laser was originally bought so that we could charge less for sets because I couldn't sell as many $65 sets that I spent 8 hours sanding as I can, $8.99 sets that I didn't spend any time sanding. But the other thing that I would say about that is that if the lack of time spent in the carving process, because the laser does the carving process, if that is something that bothers the end customer, there are ways that the customer can shape that wood or shape that piece, they can sand it, and they can do other things to the wood as well that will make it their own, put their energy into it. But for most people who buy an $8.99 set, they're not looking to do that, they're looking to learn. So it's a learning set. And so yeah, there's, I fully understand where you're coming from, but it's okay. The other thing is, when I do grab that out of here. This is the other tool that I typically use for my hand-done sets. Now, the funny thing is, much like the laser, it's not actually hand-done, because my hand's not heating up at all, except for the heat comes through. But when I use this, it's not something that's necessarily coming from me either. I'm controlling it more than I am with the laser. But the actual coloring, the actual carving is being done by the tool. And it's not significantly different to me to say that, I hand carved this with this tool versus I hand carved it with that tool, even though that tool is much larger and shoots laser from its eyes and burns stuff in a different way than this burns stuff. The other thing is that I can't do some of the stuff with this by hand that I can do with the laser. So those Greek alphabet oracles, I can't carve with my hand. I don't have the skill to do it with my hand. And a lot of people don't have the skill to do curvy lines by hand. It's difficult. But I have the skill to design and to create so that the tool that I own can indeed push out the final product. And it does it in a remarkably similar way. It burns the wood away. So it's a question of degree and a question of what's actually doing the work. And I tend to think that we're doing the work on the laser cartridges too. Thank you. Seamus sometimes refers to it as, you know, like a baker. Bakers don't really bake. They put something in the oven, and the oven bakes. It's the same thing with the laser, you know. We're not really doing anything. We're just putting it in the oven, and lasers do all. So they are easier.